While you were gone, I had a dream.
Oh?
And I got so angry at Kramer that it woke me up. I don't remember.
Do you not remember the dream?
I just remember I was having a conversation with him. And next thing I know, my eyes shoot up and I just wake up with like, mother, I crave violence.
Mother, I crave violence.
It was so funny. I just woke up, that mother.
Oh man, so after getting off the flights and everything, I'm still kind of I keep having like anxious travel dreams, like me like being late for shit. Like it's not leaving. My sleep has been very strange since I got back.
Is that also maybe the time difference?
I don't know. I was up at 7:00 today.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I am still like, well, I mean, it's like I can fall asleep easily in the East Coast time zone right now. It's like, so this weekend is gonna be weird when I'm getting off work at 3:30. Well, 3, but yeah. Ugh.
You okay over there?
That tasted like Spam.
I'm hoping you ate Spam.
I did eat Spam. That was my breakfast today. Made some fried Spam. Oh, I think this is good. We can go into this. Yeah.
This is Tommy.
This is Jacob.
This is Tommy and Jacob's mixtape. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 101.
Doing. We are now talking today about Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow.
It is such a long title.
It is.
Like typing that in for stuff.
That's why I'm just doing Sky Captain. No, that's what I've been like. Because it's referenced as Sky Captain.
Yeah, but also this made me realize I have a really hard time spelling captain. I spell it Captain.
Captain.
Caption.
Caption.
But yeah.
Caption.
So yeah, we're doing that.
Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow. Today we're going into a quick little 2-week block of movies that were like pretty much shot on a digital backlot.
Yeah, basically.
It's the best way to. Well, we might have a better name for it after we do this episode, record it and whatnot.
Primarily computer generated. Environments.
Yeah. Which it was interesting to find out that this was really one of the first movies.
This is one of the spearheads.
Yeah, it was the first American one.
Yeah, and it was released, give context, released September 17th, 2004.
Yeah, and premiere was September 14th. So I totally thought this movie came out like after Sin City.
No, because Sin City was 2005?
I mean, yeah, they're just a year apart.
Well, but also you got to think about it in this context too. Like these movies were coming out back to back.
Yeah,
to back
exactly. So like, but I don't know why. I just always thought that Sin City was before this, and I thought this movie was kind of like the like Sin City started the trend and then everything. But Sin City was more like it was the good one in the trend.
Yeah, because also like this is very if you haven't seen it, it's very very pulp.
Yeah,
comic-y, which is kind of one of the endearing things about it. You know, as opposed to Sin City, which is like very gritty and harsh.
It fits the lens that it's being put into.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to start off with, though, did you enjoy this?
I'm like halfway in, halfway out.
Okay, cool. I'm just kind of curious where you're going to be coming from in this conversation.
Because there's definitely a lot of things that I really enjoyed. I think the thing that I had a hardest time with was the acting and the dialogue.
Okay. I mean, we haven't talked in a minute. I can't remember. Did you have first time seeing this?
This is the first time seeing it. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I was 12 when this came out. I went and saw it with my dad.
In theaters,
I think.
Word.
Yeah.
I could see also like there being like for like kind of like how the Phantom is for us, kind of has like a nice nostalgia thing to it.
There's a soft spot in my heart for this style.
So that was actually kind of the thing I was thinking about as I was kind of watching it. It was like, if I watched this when I was younger, I think I would enjoy it more. Mm-hmm. But now it's like I missed that window. But I think this is a really cool idea. Yeah. This is a really cool story.
Oh, well, let me give the synopsis
to
people who haven't seen it. In 1939, a reporter discovers a mad scientist that is using giant robots for nefarious and dastardly mysterious plot to destroy the planet.
Oh, no!
And the only one that can stop him is Sky Captain and his army for hire.
And his army for hire.
That it was actually a lot shorter, but then I realized I was like, I don't really want to focus on Sky Captain because even though like Polly is like the introductory force to this thing for him, you know, so
Well,
I just ad-libbed it real
we'll
quick.
get into more of that. Let's go into so rating wise, this movie was 6.1 on. It has a 6.1 on IMDb. It has a 70% tomato meter score and a 40% audience score. So which I get. I totally 100% get. I do think it's strange that critics had more positive reviews for this at the time, but I think that was because it was more of like a, this is new.
I was gonna say it's like, wow, look what they did.
Yeah, which is that's fair.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I think now that it's aged. It didn't age like fine wine. It aged like a bad meat.
I actually disagree a little bit with that. I kind of think it's.
All right, maybe I guess it didn't age. It's like as it aged, the flaws became more apparent.
Yeah, but it's still cool visually to me.
Because this was a box office flop technically.
Yeah, what was the budget? Budget was about 70 million, and then it grossed worldwide 58 million.
Yeah,
so technically, it flopped.
Yeah, I mean it was number 77 in the domestic box office and number 88 in the worldwide, which I think where it's at, you wouldn't think it to be like a big flop, but I think it's the budget, which.
Well, it's also the whole story behind how it came into fruition is kind of interesting.
It is.
So this is a writer director combo, and this is like the one and only big claim to fame for directorial debut and last movie.
Yeah, and for writing as well. It's the only other than the two shorts that he has.
Yeah, Kevin Conran.
Yeah.
Wait, no, Carrie.
Carrie Conran.
Sorry,
Kevin
Carrie.
is his brother who did the
yes, and then
the set design or all
Kevin
of it,
Conroy, and just go to you too.
I'm Batman.
Yeah, Carrie Conran.
Yeah. Just really quick, how many movies did you have for 2004?
87.
69.
Giggity.
Do you want to go into a little bit of because with Carrie Conran and what he went through to kind of make this movie?
Yeah,
I think I read it, but I'm blanking on some.
It's kind of just a quick little ad lib, but basically, Carrie has always been very fascinated with
pulp comics,
and special effects and a lot of stuff like that, along with their brother. But what's kind of interesting is this whole idea kind of came from just a computer generated trailer.
Yeah,
for an idea, and then he kind of wanted his career to be kind of like an indie filmmaker, but then lo and behold, I can't remember if it was his wife's friend or a friend of a friend was a producer named John Avery. No, Avery, is that right?
Did you write it down?
Yeah, John Avent, sorry. And John Avent is a big producer. If you look him up, there's a whole list of stuff that they have produced. But basically, it was like, oh, this is really cool. I think that we can do something with this, and then it skyrocketed into the $50 million budget.
Into the world of tomorrow.
Into the world of tomorrow. And it's just kind of interesting. It's kind of it's so weird. It's like the right place, right time, but didn't pan out. And it's just a really interesting concept because, I want this to be a small little indie thing, and then it
since it was filmed completely on a digital backlot, all green screen.
Yeah. Except for one scene.
When I was reading, there's
an office. One of the office scenes is the only actual physical
set,
and it was like a scene they thought they realized they had to add last minute.
Oh,
so they just go quick, let's just put this together and then we'll throw it in there. And there's a scene with Polly and she's talking to her editor.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
Dumbledore. Yeah,
Dumbledore. But yeah, 29 days to complete this project.
They actually, no, not to complete this project. To just do principal photography with actors.
Oh, okay.
So that was the thing. Is they saved a lot on budget because a project like this or a movie like this would generally take 4 to 6 months of filming. Yeah. So they saved a lot on being able to they could actually pay the actors not a lot of money because they only needed them for a month.
That's true.
So since it was all on digital backlot, it was just get the actors, let them perform, and then
I read Angelina Jolie wasn't
she recorded. She filmed for 3 days.
Yeah, 3 days and she was done. Mm-hmm. And it's that's that might not seem like a big deal, but in the movie, she's in the scenes 15 minutes collectively.
Yeah, she's really not in the movie very long.
But it's for an actual
Frankie.
For a like an actual physical set, she would have been definitely there longer than 3 days.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the whole thing was like, this was possibly for Hollywood the future of filmmaking. You know, it's like, wow, we can just get these actors in and out.
Yeah.
And then we just have a bunch of people working for digital, like building it. And then like,
it was the same kind of concept with Beowulf. They finished that movie Angelina Jolie. They finished that movie lightning fast because of the fact that it was all procedurally
that movie strangely wasn't on my list.
That is so incorrect. I am sorry. I said procedurally generated and went, that's not what this is. Sorry. That was completely incorrect.
On the list that I was looking at for movies that were done filmed on digital backlots, Beowulf strangely wasn't on the list. And I don't know why.
Maybe it's because they're not physical actors. They are still... It's like the entire thing is animated.
Possibly, yeah.
Because they were in a studio, but it's not them.
I don't know. Avatar was on it.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Never mind.
Yeah,
I don't know why my surprise was that high.
Really?
I'm like, yeah, no. Gotta do just real quick. The whole Avatar 2 posters is like this the weird little like walking back in time, like when you go to the movie theaters and there's these Avatar posters.
Like, what year is it?
What happened? Did I just
what happened?
Did I just wake
Great Scott!
Like, was that all a dream? But yeah. So but yeah, so it's like, yeah, this movie, but that's the thing too, is like what Jacob was saying, and I kind of remember reading this too, is like this actually took years to do because of how, in a sense, innovative it was from start to finish, because I believe the whole concept started like in 99 or something like that.
I mean, I know that Carrie and Kevin were trying to they were working at Disney Studios or something, I think I saw, and they were trying to like pitch stuff like this, and they were just getting shut down. And eventually it was like, well, let's just like kind of create our own. Yeah.
So they were like, studios just weren't going to have it, and it ended up being distributed by Paramount, but initially it was an Italian company, and they were like, oh, well, no one wants it, let's just do it.
Yeah.
Which is, again, cool. Like, yeah, do your thing. And then happened to meet a producer that's like, I will shovel money this way.
Yeah, who actually, like, he put his own money through a lot through this.
It's just crazy. Right place, right time.
Yeah, and it's got a pretty good cast. Ish,
yeah. I mean...
Let's just get into that.
Yeah. I'm like, well, I don't really know what to say about Carrie except like that.
No, yeah, so Carrie Connor, like, well, I guess, hold on a second. There is, like, a lot... If you go through his IMDb... There is like a lot of like, oh, he almost did this. Oh, he almost did this for years.
Really?
Years.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, like this, like there's even like he's been on the looks for possibly doing a Marvel movie, but has never actually gotten one. Like, it's really interesting. It's like, what? There was a Jon Favreau movie that he was originally going to replace somebody, but then Jon Favreau ended up replacing them instead. Yeah, it's like. We're both just gassy right now.
I don't know what's going on right now. I don't feel
Welcome
good.
to the Burp Hour with Tommy and Jacob.
I don't feel good. Well, no, but like actually, like thinking about this movie, I feel like a Marvel movie would be kind of fun with them. Yeah, with Carrie.
Yeah, maybe.
Like a Thor Ragnarok kind of.
But also, there's a part of me that wonders, like, maybe he's like they've asked him like to like, hey, write a little bit of a spec script or like an idea of what you want, and they see it and they're like, oh.
Well, because actually, yeah, now that you're thinking about it, this movie is very much in the vibe of early Marvel.
Yeah, and then like also, but like Marvel. This movie is very much in a vibe of pulp and golden age of comics that doesn't vibe well with the Marvel world, and just like it lives in its own time capsule. And that's kind of like a thing that I think is endearing and enchanting about this movie, but kind of makes it not very good as it could have been.
I feel like if you were to like pick him for like an old school, like a
oh, he was in talks to do a remake of Darkman with Sam Raimi.
Cool. Right? That'd be cool. That'd be kind of cool.
Or it was The Shadow, whatever. Like
probably The Shadow.
But Darkman, he did. Darkman was Sam Raimi. Yeah.
Yeah, because he couldn't get like the rights to
Batman
or something.
Yeah. So like
that's on the list. So we'll talk about that a different day.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So like it's just so weird that with this movie, which I feel like like anybody who's like kind of knows movies or follows movies, kind of a movie buff or a light movie buff. You talk about Sky Captain World of Tomorrow, they're like, oh yeah, but. For this to be such kind of like a prominent inside of the world of like digital backlot history,
how quiet it actually is.
I don't know how quiet it is, but like the fact it's one name, this dude, one movie, this movie, and there's nothing else. There's nothing else.
You're like the fact that this like spearheaded this like
Carrie
movement.
Conran did this for American cinemas and has done nothing since.
Why?
Like what? Like it makes it builds to question like where like why hasn't he gotten anything else? You know,
Maybe he doesn't want to.
maybe he doesn't want to. But like, why is he in the talks about all these things? And it doesn't. He falls through. You know.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it could have. I mean, this. You know, we've had. I can't remember.
I have speculations which we'll come into when I talk about the film. You know, so let's get into starring, and we can start moving forward.
Okay.
Into our review.
So we got three main people.
I put 4, just because Angelina Jolie is a big name.
Okay, so starting off with
let's start with Jude Law because we've already done him with The Holiday.
Talented Mr. Ripley, Grand Budapest Hotel, AI.
He's Dumbledore in the new Fantastic.
Okay, there you go.
Beasts stuff.
Hey,
yeah.
this movie has 2 Dumbledores.
Oh my, Jesus Christ, that's funny. Actually,
I didn't think about
I didn't think about that either. He's also Sherlock. And Sherlock, he's not Sherlock. He's Watson.
Yeah. So I was like, he's not Sherlock. He's Holmes. I was like, wait. Stupid.
Elementary.
Elementary, my dear. Up next would be Gwyneth Paltrow.
Paltrow.
Weird.
What?
Also, the 3 leads are all in Marvel movies too.
Oh yeah, she's in Eternals.
Yeah. And she's. Wait, what is her name in?
Eternals?
No. Gwyneth Paltrow in Iron Man.
Pepper. She's Potts.
Okay. Oh, Polly Perkins, Pepper Potts. I was just like, huh.
Polly Pocket.
Isn't her name Pepper Potts?
Mighty Max.
We already talked about that.
Bruce Banner.
But yeah, Gwyneth Paltrow, Iron Man, Shakespeare in Love. I don't know.
Royal Tenenbaums, I think, is kind of maybe one of her like small claim to fame because I really like her in that.
Young Wendy and Hook.
Yeah, pizza.
That one.
She's in Shallow Hal.
Oh my God, I forgot about that movie.
I watched that movie was playing it like on TBS or something a while ago, and I was like, "Wow, I'm surprised they're airing this."
I forgot about that movie.
Gwyneth Paltrow, she sells stuff.
Crystals and sage, lotions.
I'm gonna try not to talk too much shit about it.
Don't even, just leave it.
Then let's. I think Giovanni Ribisi.
Yeah, Phoebe's brother. That's what I always see him as. Oh, Aviator. I mean, not Aviator. Avatar.
Well, which I've never seen Avatar, so I didn't know he was in that.
Oh, yeah. He's like the bad guy.
Yeah.
One of the bad guys.
He's in Gone in 60 Seconds with Nicolas Cage.
Boiler Room.
The Mod Squad, which I don't think you know what that is, but that's it's a movie that's a remake of a 70s like TV show, kind of like how Charlie's Angels. Like they kind of did this like fun like remake of 70s television shows.
Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah, that would be a fun block to think about actually.
Dukes of Hazzard. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Charlie's Angels. Yeah, I forgot that was like that whole era of those coming out.
I think Mod Squad and Charlie's Angels kind of fit into kind of their own genre a little bit more. Starsky and Hutch and Dukes of Hazzard, those are a little bit more over the top, but those shows were kind of a little bit over the top too.
Yeah.
Whoa, hit the microphones. Don't do that. And then really quick, Angelina Jolie, who's also in Gone in 60 Seconds.
Yes.
She is Tomb Raider. I don't know why. Every time I look at the name Tomb Raider now, I just it has a weird connotation in my mind, and I don't know why.
What do you mean?
Just I'm getting perverted in my head.
Oh, okay. Girl Interrupted.
Yeah.
Maleficent.
She's
Eternals.
Maleficent. Yeah.
If you don't know who Angelina Jolie is, I don't know who the.
What is it? It was Michael Gambon. It has the quick. Who plays Dumbledore?
Oh yeah.
As Gwyneth Paltrow's editor. They used Laurence Olivier's likeness as the Doctor at the end of this,
which was crazy. Because he's been
and
dead
his voice.
He's been dead for 14 years.
They sound bit his voice. They like took him saying things and put it together.
Yeah, like they did with God. What is his name? Mr. Potato Head.
Oh,
they did that too with the last one.
Oh God, what I forget his name.
I'm totally blanking on it. Yeah, sir. Yeah, no, it's like that caused a lot of controversy. I was really on that note, real quick about Sir Lawrence or Lord Lawrence.
Sir Laurence Olivier.
Yeah, I can't remember if it's Lord or Sir. Maybe it's both.
Sir. It's Sir.
It's Sir.
Yeah.
But
because he was knighted.
I was very, very curious about that whole thing because I was like, how are they going to do this? Because also caused like a big controversy and whatever. But they got the rights from whoever is at the time was the
of his owner of his estate.
Yeah, the owner of the estate. But it's just kind of like I was really looking forward to it. But then when he goes all fucking Zordon, I was like, oh, that's kind of lackluster for me.
That's what's best they could do for it, though.
Yeah, totally. But that's why I was just like really curious, like, ooh, how are we gonna do this? And then he goes, Rangers.
I am a robot.
Yeah, I was just like, oh.
Beep, beep, boop, boop.
But that was interesting. I was really
Nobody likes you,
JD. But yeah, the people with the most screen time are Gwyneth Paltrow and Jude Law.
Yeah,
those are who we are
and
following.
Giovanna Ribisi would be the next after that,
and then Angelina Jolie.
Yeah,
and like we said, she's in the movie like 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm. But she has a pretty cool dude. When she has some cool gadgets.
Yeah, she's just cool too.
Yeah. It's a really cool character.
Yeah, Frankie with the eye patch. Mm-hmm. And yeah. And then who's the... Oh, that's what I was looking up.
The doctor?
The doctor? Oh, no. I was going to say... Bai-Ling.
Oh, yeah, the fighter.
Yeah, she's the
robot.
The evil assassin person, which I was just like, oh. And it's like so funny, too, because I saw this movie when I was a kid, and it's just I did not know who she was until like an adult. I was like, wait, I know you.
I looked at her, and I didn't see it. Nothing popped out to me.
We've talked about her for... I totally remembered yesterday. We talked about her. I've talked about her, like... What was it?
She was in the stripper in...
No.
Okay.
No, that was a... Yeah, no, that's not... Anyways. I'm like totally blanking. Like, why did we talk about her?
Well, I mean, I couldn't find anything with her. But...
Because like here we go. Like just so like she's she's in The Crow, she's in Crank, and she's in Southland Tales.
Okay,
so you've seen her. Like I know you have.
We've seen her definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get into some reviews, buddy. What do you got for your reviews?
Alrighty.
I'm actually really curious about these.
I've done a couple. Just
I did find Roger Ebert's, and so
that was my first one. Mm-hmm. So on Metacritic from the critics. Positive are 23, mixed 11, negative 2, which I thought was kind of crazy. But for 100 out of 100, Chicago Sun-Times, Roger Ebert, in its heedless energy and joy, it reminded me of how I felt the first time I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's like a film that escaped from the imagination directly onto the screen without having to pass the reality along the way. And I agree with that a lot. It's very fun. Let's go live in this world for a minute. In 1939, giant robots are attacking New York. Like, why? We need to discover it. I liked it.
Yeah. Grumble.
Seriously. 89 out of 100. Mark Savlov at the Austin Chronicle. Everything here from costuming and production design to the note-perfect score from Edward Schumer works in tandem to create not so much a film as a singular and joyous tribute to a vanished age when wonder only cost a nickel and played 3 times daily at the Bijou. And again, that kind of goes into the living just in the world.
Yeah. You know, keep going. It's just, just see my face.
And I'm like, do you want me
scrunching more and more?
50 out of 100. Renee Rodriguez at the Miami.
Miami. Welcome
Herald.
to Miami.
For all of its Buck Rogers style daring do, gorgeous vistas of an Art Deco New York, and sepia tone cinematography, Sky Captain is a static, uninvolving experience.
I was hoping there would be better of that review. I wanted that. Yeah.
What do you mean?
It's like my biggest problem is really the actual dialogue of this.
50 out of 100, Richard Corliss at Time. Conrad hasn't attached his technical virtuosity to a ripping yarn or infused it with behavioral brio. The first of its kind often doesn't work. Sky Captain may be the Moses that leads other directors to a blue sky, blue screened promised land.
I like that one.
So that kind of is actually what exactly you were talking about.
Yeah. This film has a lot of love put into it and a lot of thought put into it, but there isn't a heart coming out of it.
And then a negative 30 out of 100, Stephen Hunter at the Washington Post. Like so many technological marvels, at the human level, it's not only merely dead, it's really most sincerely dead.
Jesus. All right, it's not that bad.
But going into what you're saying, though, an interesting idea, too, is the fact that we were saying, this is kind of one of the spearheads into this whole style.
Yeah.
This is before it was so commonplace. So, like, for these actors, it probably was really weird to not be on a set.
Be hard. Yeah. It's really, it's like they probably had to, like, really just go back to their acting training. Because, like scenes, doing, like, rehearsal scenes with the partner in, like, an acting school, you don't have a set around you. You have acting blocks. You have just, like, this, like, black cube. And you're like, that's a table. Just...
Imagination.
Yeah, let's play pretend. And it's because what it's all about is connecting with your scene partner, the eye contact, the understanding what they're doing, where everything that's going on. So like, but also a big thing is like I noticed a lot of this film is shot super close up for the dialogue. Like it's almost all face or like shoulder up and whatnot.
That's interesting. I didn't notice that until you pointed it out.
Yes, yeah. Which makes it easier for them to like, which is also kind of a distracting thing because Gwyneth Paltrow shows almost no emotion through this entire movie.
Well, and it's also just like weird, like something that was driving me, just like also just directional. Maybe it's just I don't know, but like something that was driving me fucking nuts is that whole I only have 2 shots left thing. Like, how many times are you going to show us the number 2? Yeah. I forgot. I only have 2. I was like, what is this?
I only have 2, Joe.
And then she when she takes a picture of the ground and then Jude Law's laugh, I was like, what the hell? What the fuck was that? Pardon my French, but I was like, the hell was any of that? Like, I don't know. There is this like, even, there's a movie about big robots and all of them have a lot of this mechanical insert laugh now. You're like, ugh.
I mean, the big thing, and that's a big hark back to the pulp comics and the golden age of comics, and just like
100%. They didn't do it well though.
That's what I'm saying. It's like that's what really threw me off was like this is a wonderful world. This is a really cool like new idea for like pulp. Like this pulp comic would be so awesome to have read in the 1920s. These robots that it's
the robots are cool.
This is a cool world that they have created, and it's interesting. And you can tell it's in like there's thought put into it. But then once
even at the core level, the design is very interesting.
As I remember like watching it, I was like, oh, I'm thinking of Iron Giant, I'm thinking Big O. I'm even thinking War of the Worlds, like
to describe to give you an idea, this is this era of like the wind up robot, toy, that you wind it up and then it walks.
Clunk.
Yeah,
clunk.
That's kind of robots. But then Incredibles.
Yeah.
And then you have these like flying ones that are very sleek and they flap very War of the Worlds.
They kind of look like manta rays.
Yeah. It was like the design, like the only one that kind of failed for me was those big boxy ones underwater. That was just like, I'm like, these are boring.
Yeah.
They're not.
There's just like moments with the dialogue where it's like, oh, we got to avoid the robot. Oh, look. Yeah, avoid the robot. Oh, did you avoid the robot? I avoided the robot.
I'm not a robot.
Well,
then that's an interesting thing about you're saying about the cult comic. And I hate doing this, but we're talking about it. But like the Phantom does the pulp comic thing amazingly.
He does it really well.
Because even the villain, he's like, oh, this crazy over the top. When they go and steal the skull. What?
No, I'm just kind of sorry.
I hate when you do that.
My off-camera
something's behind me and it freaks me out. Makes my testicles go into my torso.
Yeah, that's why I like him.
But he goes and breaks in and takes the skull and is like, "Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, museum security." He's just this ridiculous sandwiches for the kiddos and the Hall of Mysteries or whatever he says.
Right over there.
Yeah, he might as well be just twirling his mustache.
Yeah, I got the damsel in distress on the train tracks.
Yeah,
what you gonna do, Dudley Do Right?
Yeah, and it's like certain movies just really, and I think what it is just like. Maybe the actors really need to just lean into it and really embrace.
And it's like, I feel like Jude Law does in a really good way, lean into like the quirkiness of like the pulp and whatnot. Giovanna Ribisi. It's also like one of the moments which is very pulp, and I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. Is Giovanna Ribisi's character? I can't remember his character's name. Was it
Dex?
Dex thing. I wanted to say Rex, but yeah, Dex. And he's like, oh yeah, we found like, oh, but the robots, like there's a signal that's coming from them. And then Joe, the Sky Captain's like, well, you need to work on finding the solution. You got it, boss. And it's like, of course, like, yeah, he's gonna do that. Like that's his job. But like the fact that they have to like relay all the information to the hero, and then the hero has to make the decision. And they're like, you got it, man. I'll go do that now. Ha ha ha. You know.
Well, and like yeah, and like even like going into the whole pulp like world building thing too. Like you see possibly like this island the bad guy is working on is not only possibly Monster Island, like Kong, like Skull Island. Because there's like
the island of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah, and then like so like and when they're underwater, you see the ship and there's a huge cage on it. So it's like, oh, that could be what King Kong was taken on.
Yeah,
and it just so happens also at the underneath this island is fucking Atlantis. Do you see that in the background?
No, I didn't actually.
Yeah, there's like a sunken city with like a Poseidon statue. Like so.
Oh, that's like, really. I read that there's actually a lot of There's a lot of like little Easter eggs in the background of everything.
There's a newspaper art, like I did love that the transition with the newspapers coming on. One of them has fucking a silhouette of Godzilla on it.
Yeah, that was one.
I was like, this is cool.
If you can see like a silhouette of King Kong on the Empire State Building in one of the shots at the beginning of the movie as well.
I was looking for that. I missed it.
Yeah, they had a lot of callbacks to like movies that influenced what they were trying to do here.
Yeah, and it was like, and they did that well. That's what's like such a bummer about this movie is aesthetically, this movie is sick.
Honestly,
I think it's really cool still.
I think Gwyneth Paltrow is kind of one of the things that hurt this movie the most.
Yeah,
was her act, like, which it's interesting because like I love the fact that it's like, yeah, let's give this female character, this journalist, kind of more of a PI like feel and look and stuff and whatnot. And like I could tell that she was really going down this like Humphrey Bogart, like from like in the Maltese Falcon or Double Indemnity, like film noir style of like detective work and whatnot. And I was like, okay, I get that, but like it just she's portraying it and not living in it. A lot of her lines come very flat on her delivery, and it's like I see like you're trying to be like, oh, what. And quick one-liner here type thing, but it's not. It just didn't read well for me. And it's like it fits well for this pulp world and this like golden age of comics idea, but it just like it there's a disconnect with it. And then also the constant like force of like when she's looking over Joe's shoulder and then like, oh, maybe I can.
Oh, the will they do it? Will they not? Thing.
Yeah. Will they? Won't they? Type whole that whole build up. Although it is kind of funny when finally she's like, I cut your fuel line. He's like, 3 months.
Well, that was when I was watching it. I was like, the last hour. The movie's also a little too long than it needs to be, but the last
it's only an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's a little too long. Could cut off like 15, hour and 30. No, but it's like I'm like as soon as they introduce that. And Angelina Jolie, Frankie might have also had a thing for Sky Captain Joe.
Is this the competition?
Is that
what she said?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. But I'm like, you really fucked up. I'm really trying to reel in the swearing.
Yeah, that's fair.
You really messed up a love story when it only becomes interesting when it turns into a trifecta.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even that interesting.
What would have been really interesting about that is if like, yeah, he wasn't in like she didn't actually cut the fuel line and he wasn't in infidel. Nope. What word am I looking for right now?
If he wasn't an infidel.
Like he created like infidelity. That's the right word, right? But whatever. So if it would have been like his and Frankie's relationship, like, oh, is that the competition? Because she wanted her partner in war back. It's like they had a really close connection because
they were both soldiers.
They're both soldiers, yeah.
And they went through some shit together.
Yeah, exactly. And as opposed to like, oh no,
he cheated on
him and Frankie actually had a thing, and I was like, ugh. Yeah. But, 2004. What can you do about it?
That's a good point. That would have just been more interesting. Like, no, like she's just a really good friend of mine.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like, yeah, I was running around with her because we were saving the world.
Yeah, and she
It
saved
had
my
nothing
ass.
to do about it. Like I named my plane upside down Polly for you because of you.
Yeah, like you could have gotten rid of that whole cut the fuel line. 3 weeks or whatever, 3 months or whatever.
Yeah.
It was.
Although when they're waking up in the bed, that was actually a really funny moment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because when Joe looks over and it's his other friend, he's like, "Hello, Joe." Just like, what? Shit. Where did my brain go? Oh yeah, like I think
false god.
I think where my brain really, where they leaned too far into this pulp thing and it just became way too unrealistic is when they got all the like documents about Dr. Hofstein or whatever. Do you have this name?
Totenkopf.
Totenkopf.
Of course, German.
Yeah, of course.
Who do you think? Actually, I was thinking about this when I was getting ready. Who do you? Go ahead. Sorry.
No. You do your thing now.
I was just saying, who do you think in cinema is the always the bad guy?
It's generally English or German.
Yeah, right. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And then I would say like Americans are up there too, like
No.
serial killers and like villains.
Yeah, but like for over stylized villains, it's
usually
majority English, and then next would be German.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm just wondering, like, if a German person, he's German. Of course he's German.
Yeah. No. Yeah. And English people are like, yeah, because Americans have to make the other people across the seas look bad.
Well, yeah, but it's like, like I was like trying to think of it, and I was like, everyone in Star Wars that is on a Death Star or Star Destroyer is an English.
Yeah.
An English actor. Kill the rebels. You know, like, oh, okay. I get it.
When Polly, right? When Polly's like, she's sitting in the back and she's looking at pictures like, oh, so he's a doctor and he was doing all of the experiments. Like, where are you getting this information? You're looking at like, there's no baseball card information on the back of this.
Stats.
You're unpacking this entire guy's career with like on like what looks like just like pictures of just like oh, he went to this school and graduated at da, and then in 2003 or 2019 whatever, and then met these doctors. It's like, how are you gathering this information?
I love the baseball card. Like it says it's stat.
It's like she turns the picture over and it's like a stat like, and this is when he killed another scientist.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, and that was like, I don't know, the whole grand plot of the villain is basically Noah's Ark in space.
I thought that was like that was what a twist.
Well, it's like I still don't understand what the vials were. It's Adam and Eve, and you're like, okay,
yeah, who's gonna use them when they get up there?
What about it? Like, yeah, it's like, well, I guess, yeah, it's just the robots are programmed. Yeah, but it's like, okay, what are you talking about?
I mean, at this point, it's kind of, you got to also like eat your carrot if you're gonna like take this into a pulp comic world,
yeah.
And there's just not going to be a lot of logic. It's going to be just like, oh, evil scientist needs this stuff, but also, but the robots were just programmed to get these vials. Still.
Yeah, so it's like it doesn't
like they
matter.
were a moot point,
Yeah.
but as soon as they had the vials, then they could execute launching the rocket ship.
Yeah, like so they were just following programming.
Yeah, they were just following protocol.
Yeah.
Order 66.
Interesting. Yeah, I was just like, yeah, that's fair. It's like, and that's kind of an interesting, actually, kind of idea. It's like you've taken now the human element out of the villain's plot because he has been dead for 20 years or whatever they say, and it's just like, oh, now it's just.
Well, it becomes a very modernist storyline then, which was very popular for the 1920s, Man versus the Machine.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it still fits in that realm of idea of pulp comics. And like this movie does have like a nice little like steampunk feel to it as well.
Yeah, and I think that that's why I enjoy it so much. It's like, you know, the whole like architecture style in the animated Batman series, where it's like very, it's very clunky yet sleek.
Yeah,
you know, like even in the rocket ship, he has a giant angel statue holding a sword. It's like no reason for that to be in here, but it's cool that it is. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know, all the statues in the Batman movies, these giant Atlas holding buildings up, and it's like, this is so unnecessary, but it's really cool.
Embellished architecture.
Yeah, like I really, and I think that's what it is. Like I really enjoy, like I really like,
kind of like how Dark City was.
Yeah, and Incredibles. You know, this retro futuristic thing is such a turn on for me. I love it.
Oh yeah,
it really is. I really, it's like it's like eye porn. I really, really enjoy that kind of architecture and that look, especially in a like fantasy world, because you can just make it this grand scaled, huge thing, you know. And I just like the grandioso of it. It's
this movie 100% kind of, since it's like the first of its kind in American cinema for a digital backlot. It doesn't, like, its story is super thin, and kind of like what that one guy said, like the Moses. Hey, that's kind of funny. Noah's Ark.
Yeah, no, that was, I was like, oh wait, interesting. I wonder if that's why they wrote that.
It's kind of like the pioneering movie setting, and especially since there was no source material. This is all out of Carrie Conran's and probably Kevin Conran's like mind. Like it's a flat story. It's a fun adventure.
Well, yeah, like right here, even though Claudia Pugh at US Today, the story is so thin and cliched, it seems as if a computer wrote the screenplay and a robot directed it.
That's fair, yeah.
And that's really just, there's nothing interesting about the humans.
Which then goes into maybe why Carrie hasn't gotten anything since then. He might be able to do his own independent stuff if he put his mind to it. I don't know why he hasn't, if he wanted to be an independent filmmaker, you know?
Yeah.
But I feel like if this is an example of the work that Carrie Conran can produce, then I would give him a chance at something. But I would, if what he's giving me before we get into actually like solidifying a product, like you will be the director. If I don't see oh, you're really not giving me a little bit the more that I think you would have possibly learned from this movie. So it's like, oh, you're really like. He's like just at that cusp of like, you could be really good at this, but there's just someone better to like. It's like, oh, well, I got Jon Favreau over here. And he's open and, yeah.
Well, it's like this whole movie too lives in this whole like genre of its own with being the spearhead, but it's also with like, Journey to the Center of the Earth. That movie is super campy, very again, because it's Journey.
I have never seen it, so.
Oh well, it's like Brendan Fraser.
Brendan Fraser, yeah, right.
But that's like the thing though too. Is like it's all CG, and it's got big dinosaurs, and it's got big mushroom forests they have to go through. It's very it's Jules Verse.
Yeah, I know the story. But,
the worlds that were created. But it's like, and it's that kid from Hunger Games, I think. The main Peter or whatever, Peter. I don't remember what his name is.
Peter.
Peter. But it's like they were very like, I remember them too being very charming, and they were fun because he's the uncle and his nephew, and they're going through this adventure together, and the movie isn't good, but they're fun to watch, like squabbling and getting into these life and death situations, and like. I really love these kind of like, the hidden island with dinosaurs and monsters and giant birds. And like, I really love that the 12-year-old in me really, really enjoys that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you never once felt actual tension that they weren't going to make it.
Yeah.
And I didn't care if they did. and it's brutal, but I was like, I'm not invested in any one of these characters. The one I kind of found most interesting was Dex.
Yeah. Well, then even like some of the fights, like when Jude Law's character is fighting the robot assassin, like he keeps coming back. It's like, she's kicking your ass. Like, you clearly can't handle this fight.
It's like when those videos of like, you put your hand out and a kitten comes and jumps on your arm, you throw it back, and then it comes back over and it jumps on your arm and you throw it back. Yeah. And it just keeps this loop.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like, this isn't a horrible movie, but I don't think it hasn't aged very well. I mean, I think it's just out-aged itself. Like it hasn't badly aged. It's just its age shows.
No, this kind of is an interesting. We've kind of had this conversation before, and now just realizing it with Spirits Within, Final Fantasy.
Oh, okay. I was like, I was thinking Spirited Away. I'm like, when did we do Miyazaki?
I don't know. Spirits Within.
Yeah, okay.
We've had this kind of conversation where it's like, because you keep saying it aged, and it's like, I don't really feel like, objectively, yes, it has.
It's age, it shows.
Yeah, but it's such a stylized world that it's like it's in its own little compartment.
But by age, I don't mean like computer graphics. I'm not saying that has aged. It looks beautiful. Everything about that. There's still stuff that
I think a lot of it has to do with the sepia tone, by the way.
that's fair. What has aged with it is, well, a lot of people are like, oh, this is a really cool. Like they forgive the dialogue and the narrative because the spectacle. But now we have amazing spectacle with great narrative and dialogue.
You're like, I get it. You're like, we let it go at the time because it was the only thing of its kind.
Yes.
And now it's like, okay, yeah, then okay. Then I agree with you. Yes, it has.
Because you can make a really good pulp comic story, and keep true to its dialogue and its style and whatnot, and still have it be captivating and interesting. These characters weren't captivating and interesting.
Sin City.
Yeah, well, yeah, and Sin City's more noir, though.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. It's this grandiose, same thing. Like with the architect, it's this grand scale thing, but it's still like,
which is why Sin City was able to like, and I think that becomes to source material. Is that there was a wonderful comic by Frank Miller that they were able to just adapt, and that's what I'm also saying is like probably why Kerry Conran hasn't probably done much since this or anything, is because he writes very one-dimensional stuff. Possibly. I'm projecting. Kerry Conran, it's not a judgment. It's not a hard judgment. It's just what I'm seeing because I haven't seen anything else. So I'm sure you're
speculating and like this is what. Because I mean that'd be interesting too. It's like that'd be like a thing. It's like, hey, you can direct this, but I don't want you to write it. I want this guy to write it.
Yeah.
Because I like your look. Like,
and then who knows? Maybe like he's not that good of a director, and what made this movie good was his brother Kevin Conran, who did all of the production design.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and there's just definitely moments. Like what was interesting about watching this too, there were very much moments where I found myself very into this world and believing, oh, like that's a building, like that's an actual building, you know. And there were moments that, like all Indiana Jones, like when they're running across the log, from the flying dinosaur thing, that shot, it just shot me straight to The Last Crusade when he's doing the leap of faith thing, and it just doesn't. It's like the whole movie's fine until that moment, and then you're like, this optical illusion thing you're doing looks weird, and it's like that bridge because it's kind of at this angle like this, and they're running across it.
It's like you can tell that it's actors wobbling, and that they're not reacting to an object.
It's like you're clearly like on this, I'm assuming, flat surface, and whoa, you know, and there's like definitely these hard moments, or like when the scientist gets vaporized and his bones crash to the ground. I went, that was terrible. But there are these really cool, you know, like when the robots first show up to New York and it's snowing and they're flying and they come crashing down to Earth. I was like, this is cool. Like, this is like, these are robots are attacking New York during wintertime.
How clunky Gwyneth Paltrow is dodging all of the robots.
And then there's these really stark moments.
It's like you can see in the actor's eyes a lack of fear of what's about to happen, and it's probably because she had no like Jude Law and Gwyneth Paltrow probably watched the movie like, is that what I was supposed to be reacting to?
It would have been so different.
Holy shit!
But it's such an interesting concept too, because of the fact of like, you know,
and imagine a giant robot is about to step on you.
Well, it's like I had this weird thought, you know, it's like everyone and anyone has been in an Law and Order, right? Like when before they were big or in their medium time, right? And now it's like everyone, once you've made it, you're in a Marvel movie. Yeah. And it's like with that, it's like not only because you have these seasoned actors that have been around, you know, there's obviously new blood, but the roster of people in Marvel movies is ridiculous.
Pretty deep, yeah.
And so they've had years and years now to get used to blue screens, and it's just like, it's such an interesting concept that's just like, it was just alien to them at the time.
I mean, okay, so like this isn't very like, there was still like Star Wars that was getting a lot of like, you know, those were filmed on digital backlots, but they had practical sets including.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's like there's no, like, because even then if you see behind the scenes like of Endgame,
Yeah.
They're standing on the rubble, but then behind them
there's a
is
practical set, but there's still the green scene. This film had zero practical set.
Well, yeah, because even with Beowulf too, he's holding a sword.
Yeah.
It's made of green wire, but he's picking up the cup, and he is, you know what I mean? Yeah.
So like that's kind of the difference. Is like there's really nothing for them to be interacting with except for maybe the bed and the covers. Like there's
or the toy gun.
There's practical set pieces, but there's no they have no idea what their environment at all truly looks like.
Yeah, well, and that's like interesting too. Like you think that, and I'm speculating too. You think if you were casting this, you'd want at least one person to have some adequate experience with this kind of thing, because now it's just two newbies leading each other. Like you have Gwyneth Paltrow and Jude Law that haven't really interacted with this lack of set, and they're feeding off each other, and so it's basically like, what do we do? I don't know. What do we do? I just asked you that. I don't know.
I guess we're just gonna act.
We're gonna wing it.
Yeah.
You know. So that is an interesting concept.
I really don't have much else to say about this.
I mean, I say it's definitely worth a watch. For me, I think it's cool. But
if what we just said sounds interesting, do it. Yeah.
Well, it's like, because I think that just you and I too, because we have been number one doing this podcast now for 101 episodes. Plug that in right there. You know, we have been movie people, and you and I constantly are talking about this kind of stuff. I just think it's really interesting to see where it's come from. Mm-hmm. And so if you're like us in that way, it's really cool to be like, this was cool, like back in the day. Like
I really think that this, like the story and like this whole like the Sky Captain and the world of tomorrow, like I want to see more adventures of the Sky Captain, you know?
That'd be cool.
It's like I don't necessarily want to like see them like this. I don't know. Maybe it's like a reboot of some sort. Like this, it's such an interesting, fun. Because pulp comics were that. It's like every month there was the new adventure that they were going on. And
the new problem they had to solve.
And like this felt like just like one random issue and an entire story of Sky Captain. Like what other weird things to have him and Frankie gotten into? Like his friend that could speak all the languages. Like what adventures have they gotten into? You know?
Yeah.
Like it's like I think like really interesting, cool story premise. But yeah. And with that, I don't. It wouldn't hurt you to watch it.
Yeah, I don't think.
I think it's a popcorn flick. You know.
Yeah.
Like it's fun. Yeah, had fun with that. You'll groan. You'll laugh.
I bought it, and I'm not disappointed. I bought it.
Fair. Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna buy this, and I was like, I'm glad I will watch this again. For
Where's your Mogwai at?
After midnight.
Eating after midnight.
Like turning into a gremlin, because of like you were saying, like the reviews and everything, the spectacle is like
I agree with you on that. I think a 6.1 on IMDb is a little high, and a 70 on Rotten is kind of high for Tomato Meter.
I think the 6.1 is good.
I think I would give it more like a 5.5. Just because I think the dazzlement of when it came out and like it being like, oh, this is really cool that they can do this,
has now lost its
dazzle.
Yeah, it's now
now frazzled.
It's not dazzling anymore.
Yeah,
it is dull.
Yeah,
yeah. I guess that is true. It is dull. I mean, and especially in comparison to things now, it's like
it's great to see. Yeah, did that digital backlot stuff had like kind of come from, and like even just like the evolution of the digital backlot and being able to do this, because like Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, they're all filmed with these green screens, but with more like practical sets around them. Like I mean, a lot of movies were getting filmed like that.
Yeah, and that's like
bigger movies like that, at least.
Well, it's like kind of interesting too, because like with like Spirited Away and Beowulf and these actually animated things, you can tweak it, because not only is the environment digital, but
Spirits Within.
What'd I say?
Spirited Away.
Oh, Spirits Within, yeah. But like you can tweak the character to the environment. Yeah. You can't really do that when they're up flesh and
Spirits
blood.
Within was 100% all computer, and like they didn't have the actors moving about, did they? No, they didn't. They just had the actors doing a voiceover.
Well, no, yeah, but my point is just like when you have a strictly animated everything.
Yeah.
If something looks kind of off, you can tweak the character to fit into the environment better.
Yeah.
But
with this, you have to tweak the environment around the character.
Yeah, and there's nothing you can do about the carbon copy human being in front of you. So it's like, yeah, but like what you're saying too is like with the practical set, with Tony Stark standing on the rubble, you can move the environment to fit that entire set piece.
Well, they've built that environment to actual scale of like what a human would look like standing next to
and
it.
what's going on behind
we have
them.
perspective of that rock next to Tony.
Yeah, exactly.
But we don't have. But they're creating the perspective of the backdrop behind the rocks.
Yeah.
So
it's just kind of like, I think that at this time that was just kind of the hindrance of the technology at the time when you're just doing strictly computer generated environments with.
They did a wonderful job with that. That's that was one of the good things about this movie.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, but there's like clearly restrictions to it, and it's just kind of cool to see. Like I was just saying, it's cool to see where it came from. And be like, oh, like that's interesting that was a problem then. That's not a problem now.
I guess I'm not fully following what you mean by what was the problem. Because
like I was saying, like the log, them being on the log.
Okay, yeah.
It's like that.
But that's the difference between having 100% digital backlot and having a practical set for them to act on.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that if you were to take that entire scene and do it now, even with just completely computer generated, you could probably have made that look less.
I think what they would have done,
fixated on
actually, I have the perfect solution. If you wanted to still keep digital backlot and everything, and they're running on a green screen type thing, is you have them running on a green log that you are moving, so you actually have the actors responding to the movement. If you want to keep the digital backlot without the practical set,
there you go. So there you go. There's a fix. But yeah, so I mean, I say watch it. You like you said, you don't have to. We don't control your life, but I say it was cool.
It's a fun movie. It's a popcorn flick. Watch it. Yeah. Shorter episode today.
How should we kill some time?
So next week we are doing The Spirit.
Memory. Have you seen it?
Nope.
Okay. I remember it, and I remember being absolutely terrible.
So let's see where we go from promising beginnings of this digital backlot to maybe why the digital backlot stuff started to fall apart.
I'm going to go with this as one of the reasons. I remember it being incredibly terrible. And
I'm excited to see Samuel L. Jackson be a bad guy, a flamboyant type
He's
guy.
like Doc Ock.
Yeah.
Like Dr. Octopus.
Yeah, something weird. Yeah.
He carries on 8 guns and 8 knives, and it's very pulpy.
Word. I'm all for it right now.
And I don't think there's anyone in that we've done before.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't remember. I don't think it's going to be like that for Samuel Jackson. And I think Eva Mendes, we're going to hit this movie. I think she's in it. I think she's like the...
Oh, yeah. She's like the femme fatale.
Yeah, the femme fatale character.
Yeah. All right.
I'm sorry. I'm remembering it now. And I'm like, oh, God.
Having flashbacks?
And I'm like, oh, no.
Are you going to get triggered here with some PTSD while we will talk about it?
I think that's one of those movies I walked out and I was like, wow, that was fucking stupid.
Yes, I love it.
All right. So, yeah, join us next week for that.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Spotify, iTunes. We have a new podcast thing that we're going to be adding to.
Once we get that, we'll get that up this week, and then we'll let you know about all that stuff.
Yeah.
Next week.
Patreon, if you want to help support us, get some better equipment for stuff and whatnot.
Yeah, because our goal is to get cameras and get another setup so we can have guests on.
Indeed.
We would like to...
Indeed-a-roonies.
Like to have other people on here.
It'd be great.
Listen to other people besides us.
And even if it's, But yeah, thanks guys for listening.
This is Tommy.
This is Jake.
This is Tommy and Jacob's Mixtape.
Mixtape.